कर दिया ना। चेक 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 check one, mic test one, check one, mic test one, check one. Check. चेक चेक वन, माइक टेस्ट वन। जबकि मैंने अपने पास से भी कम किया। चेक चेक वन, माइक टेस्ट वन। Check check one, mic test one. चेक चेक वन, माइक टेस्ट वन। चेक चेक वन, माइक टेस्ट वन, चेक वन। इसका मैं
देखो मेरे पास बढ़ाने का मौका है, और बढ़ा सकता हूँ, मेरे पास
बढ़ा सकता हूँ। इसको मैंने -4
इसको
पर
एक काम करो और कम कर दो।
और कर चेक वन,
ये वाला है।
चेक वन, माइक टेस्ट वन, चेक चेक वन। चेक चेक वन, माइक टेस्ट। चेक चेक वन,
कितना किया आपने?
अभी उसको तो वो उतना ही हो। इसको मैं कम कर दूंगा। हाँ अभी कम हो। चेक वन,
नॉइज है पर अभी भी है। -30 कर दो।
इसको
हाँ
अबे चलना भाई, क्या हुआ? चेक वन, माइक टेस्ट वन। साउंड बहुत कम है। अच्छा इसको माइनस
ये
कर दो।
आपने कंप्रेसर ऑन किया हुआ है?
कौन?
इसमें इसमें कुछ कंप्रेसर डाला है?
नहीं।
क्योंकि जब बोलते हैं ना
हाँ
तो नॉइज दब रहा है।
नहीं, ये मैंने ना यहाँ से बंद किया ना। ये वाला है मेरा। ये ना, इसका ऑडियो ना ये रहा। ऑडियो इनपुट ये कैप्चर कर। चेक चेक वन,
चेक चेक।
इसको मैं करता हूँ माइक।
चेक। हेलो चेक। हेलो चेक। check, check. Hello, check. Hello, check. Check. Hello, check, check. Hello, check, check. Hello, check. Hello, check, check. Hello, check. Hello, check. Check. Check, check. Check. Hello, check. बेटर है. Hello, check, check, check.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call all the last benchers to the front bench. I was always the one sitting in the last bench, so I understand. Do come forward, we have some empty chairs. And these are the best seats, very comfortable. Good evening. Sit. I think a very, very good evening to all of you here today. It's good. Dubai is turning into better weather, and looking forward to the next season for sure. I'm sure everybody is. Hi, I'm Cicely George, the Executive Director of Thai Dubai, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome all of you for today's session. And before the session starts, I do a little bit of an introduction for the event and talk a little bit about Thai Dubai for those ones that are not aware of it. So we really hope today's session is going to be valuable for each of you. I really believe AI in business, in a matter of time, will be like getting connected to the internet. It's going to be part of every business's DNA. It's going to be something as really basic as that. So we are digital in pretty much everything, and today's session is going to give you some insights ahead. Make sure you ask questions, you have the experts. So, you know, even if it's real case scenarios, it's always interesting for the community to interact and find out more. So today's session is basically divided into two parts, where we will take you through the basics with a presentation to really lay down where all the security concerns that are emerging with AI, and to have a deeper understanding AI, especially with regards to what cybersecurity is going to look like. Then the second part, after the 20 minutes, we'll have another 40 minutes to sit with the panel and go through with queries. So Priya is going to moderate the session. She comes from a AI background. Do share your individual queries, and towards the end of the session, Priya will direct you, but we'll be really happy to take your queries as well. Before we begin, a little bit about Thai Dubai. It's an organization that fosters entrepreneurship globally. What started really as a conversation to help mentor upcoming entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley in 1992. Today, it is in 55 different cities in 14 countries across the world. So how Thai functions is on 5 main pillars, namely mentoring, networking, incubating, education, and funding. While Thai has the global reach, the local chapter really works with a regional focus, making sure the ecosystem is supported with what it needs regionally. We have the mentorship program, extremely beneficial for companies that are looking for support from seasoned and successful entrepreneurs who will help you navigate your journey better. I know they are actually holding a mock pitching session because that's one of the challenges that they seem to be facing next week. So some of these events are closed door, but do keep an eye out on our social channels when they are announced, because it happens in cohorts. It's really beneficial. We've seen really good stories come out. We always say some of the things we do, good things we do, we have not put it out there. But there are really some good stories. Then we also have the Thai Women MENA program, which has just finished its regional leg of finishing 5 separate pitch competitions for UAE, Emirati, Egypt, Saudi, and rest of the Middle East. This works with women holding equity in their business. We had over 165 applications, shortlisted it down to 37, mentored them, worked with them. We have 5 winners who have pitched today in Singapore at the Thai Global Summit, with 36 other women participants from across the globe. And 2 of them from Saudi and Egypt have gone to the finals. The winner will take home a $50,000 equity-free fund. So there's, in Singapore, a couple of them couldn't make it and pitching virtually, but these are amazing opportunities as women entrepreneurs as well. Then we have the Thai MENA, which is a youth-focused program for student-led, which is actually going to come out soon. So all the students here, keep your eyes out. The global prize this year in Silicon Valley is $100,000 for the best prize, which is great. They've improved it from last year. They've doubled it. And we flew the winner. She's an Emirati working on a fintech product. We flew her to Silicon Valley and she met a lot of other students, great opportunities. So students as well, this is idea stage when you're in transition mode from idea to incorporation. So that's that. And so do keep your eyes and ears out, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, where else? LinkedIn, for sure. So just look for Thai Dubai. It's there. And YouTube has a lot of videos that could be really helpful for you as well. So that's really the easiest way to be a part of this community. Just sign up for our events, turn up, and then you get into our mailing list as well. Very special thank you to all the charter members that really support and form the backbone and run the boat to make this happen. They're all busy people. Thank you to all the charter members here today. And moving on to today's panel, I don't want to take more time out. Firstly, our moderator, who's usually a panelist, but this time we flipped the model on purpose. As we know, she has deep knowledge in the AI space and make sure the questions are sought out from the cybersecurity experts. Priya Nair is an entrepreneur, author, and speaker living in the UAE for 18 years. She worked with the UAE Air Force and a Tier 1 engineering consultancy before becoming an entrepreneur. The author of an Amazon bestseller for startups. Priya founded Zwag AI, an award-winning AI startup that developed GCC's first general foundational large language model. Priya speaks on key panels in the region about the application and ethical impact of generative AI and LLMs. Welcome, Priya. I'm pleased to introduce you to our panelist, Vaishal Mehta, a technical expert in cybersecurity, data analytics, operation, and fraud risk. He's a seasoned enterprise risk and IT and cybersecurity expert, boasts over 23 years of leadership in BFSI and IT services organizations. Recognized as a domain thought leader, Vaishal navigates cybersecurity and operational risks adeptly, transforming organizations during M&A and digital transformations. Known for sustaining core values, he strategically partners for digital transformations, establishes comprehensive risk frameworks, and drives strategic planning for future readiness. Vaishal is a change agent, a team player, and a motivator, consistently exceeding commitments. Great to have you here today, Vaishal. And our other panelists who will begin the session by really educating us is Professor Amar Al-Momani. He is the head of Research and Innovation Department at Skyline University College. Professor Amar is a specialist in internet infrastructure security based on AI and a scholar with 101 plus articles published in reputable journals and conferences, 8 patents, and utility models published as 6 Germany utility models and 2 India granted patents. 20 years of teaching, more than 42 topics with various subjects related to cybersecurity, network, and AI. He has published 73 Scopus articles, 1358 citations, and garnered over 2725 citations on Google Scholar with an H index of 27. He's actively engaged in the academic community with a strong online presence and a large readership and following on ResearchGate with about 89,000 readers and followers. Without further ado, over to you, Professor Amar.
Thank you very much. Okay, assalamu alaikum and good evening. It was nice to meet you all today. Actually, since a few days, I prepared myself regarding the presentation. And when I decided to select topic, it was very complex to find good topic. It can cover the best trend and one of the biggest issues nowadays. So later on, after read a big number of reports, I decided to suggest our presentation under the title Generative Artificial Intelligence. Then we will connect it with the cybersecurity, and after that, I will connect with the startup and business or a small business. And we will focus more in the protecting our digital assets. So, inshallah ta'ala, we will start this presentation after take a look briefly, depend on 3 minutes of movies to summarize the generative AI before discussion how this area become the best trend around the world nowadays. So, just let me know if it's work. It's work or not? I think it's work. Just before we start, actually, as we discussed before, we will focus on 3 areas. The generative AI, and we'll clarify the objective of the generative AI and what does mean the generative AI, because this is including many concepts, what the cybersecurity, and we will focus more on the 5 cybersecurity trend in 2023 with the startup process. And finally, we will discuss the common cyber threat affecting startup founders. So let's start by our movies. We'll summarize what does mean the movie clarify the generative AI, how that's important, and how the many application and use case can be used in the future. Now we'll discuss, after the definition of the generative AI, how this new technology will be implemented in more than 100 use cases. As a generative AI definition, it's a type of artificial intelligence technology. It supports a text, video, audio, and content in high quality, and it can generate in millisecond the result for any knowledge you need it. So the recent buzz around the generative AI has been driven by simplicity of the new text or image or video I can generate depend on this new technology. So to make the procedure easier for us, ChatGPT is one of the applications used in the generative AI. If we ask us when ChatGPT started, it started in 22. Exactly in November, I think. That means since before 1.5 years. After 1 month starting like this application, it has 100 million users. So after that, they released from 3.5 version to ChatGPT 4 into 2023 in March, and depend on the simulation and real conversation and the quality of output it can be detected and created based on this new technology. Microsoft take a look on this new technology and take the OpenAI company as a new startup, then start by generation new search engine called Bing search engine. So I think nowadays, maybe the number of users for the Bing search engine is still not like a Google, but if you use it, you will find it has a very smart system, and it become as a competitor for the Google search engine. So of course, Google will not stay alone and stay in the same square. It generates a new generative AI application called BART. The BART, it's also will take the more feature of the ChatGPT with more advantage regarding writing the code, answer the math problem, and help with your writing needs. Including also Google as a BART application, it's collect the database on the website, not as a ChatGPT collection, the content from millions of users, and after that, and deep learning, it can be detect and improve the answer result. Then we have other application also as a DALL-E. DALL-E, it's the same technology of generative AI, and it's designed to train large data set of image. And after that, it connects this image with associated text description. And depend on this connection, I can generate a new image and a new movies. That means in the future, maybe we can generate the movies and photos within a few seconds. And this will make the time shorter for any actors to prepare a high-level scene or created high-quality movies within short time. So that this application is an example of generative AI to make what does mean generative AI. And nowadays, we will find that many companies around the world try to adapt it like this technology. Now, if we take a look on this chart, it represents the generative AI overview and what's the buzz. We should know that, depend on the last survey, 2023, and this international survey based on the KPMG survey, this survey detects the relationship between the generative AI with the business. They expect between 2.6 trillion up to 4.4 trillion annually. We can get it based on 63 use cases after a few years. So that most of company, they prepare budget to support like this technology. Start by 2022, it's about now 11 billion, and will become this year about 14 billion, and it should be reach up to 118 billion within a few years. And if we take a look on the this budget distribution between the country, we can find that the North America represents 41 of this budget, and Middle East 3%, Latin America 8%, 22 Asia Pacific. And if we take a look on the Middle East and Africa, we're still in the beginning road because we are in the Middle East at the end. So we should focus more how we can adapt it like this technology and to be track with the other country around the world. So for any new investors or founders or new research leader, I think this is the best way to start and adapt this new technology. But regarding the same survey, as a startup and small business, 77% of leaders rank generative AI as the most impactful technology. That means, depending on the last few years, we have many trend topics appear in the social media, in the ministry, in the education. It starts by the cryptocurrency, the nanotechnology, and up to generative AI. We can find that 77% from the business leader shows that the world will be focused more in the generative AI. And 39, they think advanced robotics, and then down up to cryptocurrency, 6%. So if we take a look on this chart, we can find that the business leader, most of them will focus on the generative AI and how they can use like this technology in most of application, because we need to reshape the interaction with our customer. If we can go back before a few years, before Amazon, before Google, of course we cannot compare the revenue by this company compared with the current time, because now they collect billions of dollars within 1 year. And we can find that the biggest 10 companies around the world, it depends on the technology. But depending on the generation AI technology, we will find that any company stay without adapting this technology, it will go back. So that most of businessmen now and business leaders, especially the Amazon company, Microsoft, Google, try to reshape the interaction with the customer by make the short period and to achieve higher revenue. Also, we can take a look that the 77% rank generative AI as emerging technology that will have biggest impact business over the 3 up to 5 years. That means the plan within 5 years, we will find most of companies, 77% will cover, depend on this new technology. So I hope everyone to remember like this information, because after we discuss this area, we will find how much also the new complex problem regarding with the cybersecurity. In any way, we need to improve at the end. The market competition depend also on this new technology. Also, if we take a look on the dynamic uses, top application and adoption timeline, generative AI, as we discussed before, it changed the game. Because nowadays, you can reflect the human experience, practical, and as a knowledge based on software. So you can find many applications nowadays. It works with you like a human. It answers depend on some company for your question. It can be solve any problem you got it. So will become replaced on the human if we will not find the good relationship between this new technology and the worker. More and more, we can reflect this knowledge as a real world. So, but where we can implement this new technology? Depend on the same survey, 56% will be focused on the IT technology and operation. Operation likes work in the company, generation report, generation answer email, creating some special plan, writing code of any programming language. And for example, regarding the programmer nowadays, no need to be expert in programming language. You just write what you need, and the system will generation the code. After that, you can just connection this section of code to generation. Maybe your programming, it was need maybe 1 month, now you can generation within a few hours. So you can cut the time, depend on this new technology. And also, 42 you can use in the market and sales. And now Amazon, it's utilize big budget to use this technology and to implement inside the Amazon, especially in the market and sale. And 40% will cover the customer, product, and development as research and development. And depend on the midways, we find that the IPM company use the generative AI technology to solve the COVID-19 problem. And many also company use the same technology in research and development. Also, we have 19% the financial accounting, human resource, and risk and legal. So this is generally where we can use the generative AI. But in the same survey, we have 71% plan to implement their first generative AI solution within the 2 years. That means the world currently, depend on the chart, 9% only, they adapt the generative AI. depend on the current budget and depend on the current business leader, 9% adapted this technology. But depend on the same survey, they found that 71% plan to implement this new technology within 2 years only. That's meaning if we start from now, this is not enough time to track this high speed to adapt it like this in new technology. And we can find that 26 maybe within next year, some of them 12% within the next 6 months, and so on. But 71, totally, it will be implemented like this technology within 2 years. So we should be active to build our startup in this area of technology. Sorry. Now, the question is, after we find that tens of millions of customers, they upload the very critical information, like as we see our students, they upload the report, and you will find some worker in the company, they upload very critical information inside the company to answer how we can create the plan, how we can create action plan, how we can solve these issues, how we can solve these issues. Of course, as a ChatGPT, an example, they will give you or support you with good answer. But at the end, this is very critical information. The system will use like this information at the end to generation or solve other issues, because this depends on a huge amount of data collected by millions of customers to answer the next question in high quality, so that the system will become more power and more stronger from time to time. Just we need to say that the global cybersecurity, cybercrime costs the world around between 6 up to 8 trillion. That means it represents the third economy around the world. And that's meaning it, after USA and China, we have virtual world called cybercrime. And we should know that this crime, it depends on the dark web. And we know that the dark web, we only use about 5% of internet real world, because like Facebook, Amazon, and well-known company, this represents 5% of the internet. But 95%, it's work in the dark web. Dark web, it needs some special Internet Explorer, so that most of communication between the sell and buy the drugs, weapon, depend on this environment, and we lose a huge amount of budget from many countries depend on this environment. So we should prepare ourselves how the new hacker will utilize this information, upload to the new generative AI like ChatGPT and Bard application, and how they can use like this content to stolen or to improve this big virtual company. So we should know also the cybercrime up to 600 just within the COVID-19 in 2021 enterprise, that annual cost cybersecurity increased 22% in 2029. So we should find bigger problem increase with the future. Okay, this is message from the head of Kaspersky, head of research center, said, in 2023, Kaspersky found that 57% of workers are using generative AI. This is a huge number. That's meaning only it was to save time. But the main question, what kind of data are they putting into it? Because this is a big question. Because you upload everything. Nowadays, maybe some people, they have bad or low level of experience, they will upload the critical information for any company or organization. So it's very important to know, they upload, for example, code, maybe sometimes we are working in company, and this is very critical code, very critical document, very critical or summarization for any application. And this is not easy to upload like this information on the ChatGPT or generative AI application. So, in this case, the same manager said that in 22 only, Kaspersky anti-phishing system blocked more than 500 million attempts to access fraudulent website. And this is also big number, including the phishing target specific people. So he suggests some answer to solve like these issues to protect against generative AI threat, including it's a start with awareness, because this is the main keyword. If you need to just control this new technology, you should have good level of awareness for all people, because we cannot after you upload the content in this technology like generative AI based on the ChatGPT, I don't know what happened for this information after uploaded to the system. And you should make some employee, every employee should also have good knowledge regarding the rule inside the company to know which data it can be uploaded or not uploaded on the generative AI application or ChatGPT as an example. Okay, so we need also, depend on this presentation, enterprise cybersecurity solution, and this is depend on new startup. It can solve many issues regarding those applications. The main question, how I can connection between AI and cybersecurity. Cybersecurity and AI is connected together nowadays because AI is connected with everything. But based on what I can use the AI in the cybersecurity, we have many areas, and this is just a few number. We can detect anomalies, we can identify vulnerabilities, and we should know we have more than 100,000 vulnerabilities until now. It's saved in the standard server, and the hacker can utilize any vulnerabilities to use it and to make some special hacking. And we have responding to security incident in real time, AI power, cybersecurity system enhanced, protection against evolving threat. This is just a snapshot of AI can be used in the cybersecurity. Regarding our new business leader and the new student, they imagine to create a new startup, we should know that our startup starts usually by an idea, and we will clarify from where you can get it, your idea, because we have Ministry of AI, and I will clarify now after this slide. We have about 100 example implemented or set up from the Ministry of AI, clarify from where we can use the generative AI in this area. So you can start by idea, then set up team, select the proper team from your side, prototype. After that, you should check, validate, then funding from some company, then try to launch your application, maybe hardware or software. But before that, you should have good background regarding the phishing attack, ransomware, data breach, insider threat, weak password, and many concepts before you start or before you start to think you will connection between the generative AI and cybersecurity. We should know that the hacker usually can be utilized many areas to find or to use the generative AI to counter, for example, IoT hacking, machine learning threat, or network vulnerabilities. And we should focus on the IoT hacking because this is also trend nowadays. Nowadays, of course, our life, it becomes start by the smart home, and we cannot find home without smart device. For example, smart TV, a smart mobile, a smart AC, smart camera. So for the special hacker, they can track, depend on one camera, hundreds of camera, okay? And they can, after that, install some hacking, depend on only based on one camera to hundreds of devices in city. So we should be careful regarding how we can create startup to fix like this issue. And we have many areas can be used by the people they need to prepare startup later on. And here just I need to mention, in the Ministry of AI, they prepare about 100 practical application and use case of generative AI. It's published as a report and as a PDF application on the Ministry of AI. They determine about 100 concept and area can be started as a startup for any inventors and or anyone who need to create a new startup. So that I hope everyone to take a look on the Ministry of AI and take a look the plan and the rule and the policy regarding generative like this application. And finally, we have many successful story currently. It used the cybersecurity in the generative AI like application Ambit or Acto, Axido, Cranium. All this application, some of them is designed to solve issues in the cloud computing, some of them designed to solve issues in the online, offline, in the database. So yeah, you can also take a look on many applications. Currently, it become a successful story, and you can track it to know how you can use like generative AI technology with security startup. And this most of them in 2023 only, because this technology is coming after 22 at the end. This finally, and thank you very much. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Amar. If I can ask you to take a seat, and Priya and Vaishal, if we can continue the conversation. Uh, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Professor Amar, for that very informative session on generative AI and cybersecurity as well. The first thing that comes to everybody's mind when you talk about cybersecurity are threats, data leakages, attacks, right? That's what first we think about. But let's start the panel discussion on a positive note and ask, perhaps Vaishal, could you, like definitely with the exponential growth of generative AI, it has impacted the field of cybersecurity, definitely. Can you talk about a few positive impacts in terms of technology tools that are now available in terms of, for cybersecurity in the context of generative AI?
Data is the new oil, whatever they call it, right? And that's the reality. Now, when you're dealing with data, there is business associated with the data. In order to make use of the data, you need to have a proper arrangement of the data. So, a very important positive thing that happens with an AI is you are able to articulate certain business products, new sets of behavior, a lot of neural network based learnings that basically gives a new insight to do a business. The new generation which is sitting on this side is going to be purely data focused, as a matter of fact, because they are into it every now and then. We are just having a chat with outside in the corridor. A simple thing like Reels, Insta Reels, which is just now introduced to me a few months back by my kid, I can't just get out of it. And the moment you start looking at certain kind of an information, it keeps on giving you a similar information all the time. So I like to look at this cat videos, which is like a very famous thing. Apparently, I thought I am the only one who's doing it.
No, you're not alone.
Yeah.
We're all guilty.
So the idea is how it has enhanced the whole thing, right? Now, coming to the question which you asked, how is it impacting cybersecurity? Now, cybersecurity is extremely, it's like an inch deep and miles wide as a concept. Now, what does it mean, right? Anything that you're doing it in your organization, in your universities, your data and everything has to be protected. But data is flowing immensely. There are lots of inputs and outputs which are happening, processing which is happening with the data. Humanly, it's impossible to find a needle in the haystack. Why? Because it's not easy. If you are having millions of data sets, you can't find something that is hidden somewhere. But AI gives the ability to do that. What it means in cybersecurity world, we are able to become more predictive in nature. That's correct. So traditionally, people were reactive. Something will happen and I'll act on it. They started to get into more of a proactive, that let me try and do this so I'm well prepared. Now they're getting into predictive suggestive modes, which means it says, if you don't do this, you will be impacted. If you don't do that, you will be impacted. So there is a change, there's a paradigm shift in the way in which data is getting perceived now. So the advantage of AI in cybersecurity is to find those bad actors basis the behavioral pattern. So if Vaishal as an example is going from point A, B, C, D every single day, he changes the route from point A to point E, that's where it immediately says there's a change in the pattern. You may want to have a look at what is happening. So this is one of the major, it's a fantastic, and humanly speaking, to find these, the speed, the agility that AI brings to the table is amazing. To do this find, usually organizations may take 2 to 3 days with so many people involved, technologies involved,
Right,
but
yeah.
AI does a lot of great things in minutes. Professor mentioned about milliseconds, right? Things are happening within milliseconds. That's
Yeah.
what AI has an ability in the cybersecurity world as a positive stuff.
Yeah, great. Great that you mentioned about data. So the next question is around data. I see a lot of students. How many of you are students here? Okay, so I work a lot with Gen Zers. In case you haven't kind of guessed, Zwag, the name comes from swag for Gen Z. So that's how the name comes. So we often tell the investors and everybody that Gen Zers are really concerned about their data, data privacy. Are you really? Or are you really focused on, okay, if I get things done, you know, data is like, anyway, a lot of my information is with Meta and Google and everybody already. So from an individual, a student's perspective or an employee's perspective, or generally as a netizen, right? We know that generative AI is trained on vast amount of data. Not all of it is trained on publicly available information. So how do we as individuals protect ourselves and make sure that our data, personal data, is not used for training? Are closed loop LLMs the solution? Or as a minimum, how can the students and the individuals make sure that you know, we get a say in whether our data is used for training or not?
Thank you very much. Actually, regarding the secure data, if you upload your information in the generative AI and how you can be sure this information will be secure, or maybe nobody can take a look on it. There's nothing secure 100%. It's like the social media. When you read the agreement on the Facebook, social media, Instagram, it appears in the from outside, maybe only your friend you can take a look on your information, or you can decide if it's local or global information. But in the internet world, nothing secure at the end, if we take as a generally. But actually, you should have good background before you upload your data. That's meaning the user awareness and user knowledge regarding the importance of his data before you use it. This is the most important. So before you use like this a new technology, you should be aware which type of information you upload on the system, because you should have that some maybe special application or some cyber crime, depending on some special of hacker, they can use it at the end. So in the beginning way, try to be, have good awareness regarding upload the critical information. Secondly, some of good application like Internet Explorer use the same scenario, or ChatGPT. They will ask you, should read the privacy and policy for agreement before you just accept it. Because sometimes when you accept it, that sometimes it has including critical information, you don't like to share it. And some special website, they allow you to detect the level of sharing your data. And that's meaning maybe if you go to the Internet Explorer, for example, to take the level of secure of your data, you can control from the beginning to moderate to high. Okay, and depend on your choice, I can decide the level of sharing your content, and some of connection between you and other server. It's like cookies. They will ask you, you accept to download some data in the server, and you can download some special data from the server. This will make the procedure connection, it's more easier and faster, but this is also will make the hacker, it's easy to hacking like this attachment in your system. So everything, it has advantage and disadvantage. And try to limit sharing your content. This is the main important. And based on the social media nowadays, we can find that most of, especially young people, they upload photos, data, where he's going, where he's coming. And this data at the end, depend on the ChatGPT application, it can connection for everything, and especially for the, for example, now it's if you use the Bing search engine in the Microsoft, They can collect all of your information depend on 2 keywords. That means you should be critical and try to use ChatGPT connection now with the Bing search engine with the Microsoft. It can collect everything within few keywords, so you should be careful regarding any information you shared before. But in any way, the awareness and the good background about the advantage, disadvantage data you can upload on the system, this is the main route in the beginning, but now many companies try to improve the, as we discussed before, we have many startups try to find solution auto to control the information uploaded in the generative AI application, but still it has many weakness points, and I hope based on the new generation of startup, they can find auto system can filter and encryption the data, especially based on some special tool like virtual private network in Kaspersky or virtual private network in Microsoft. It can make the send and receive data in high level of secure. And this is some suggestion.
Yeah, great.
Just wanted to add
Yes,
on
please.
something. So even for the young and as well as the ones who are at our age group, right? Privacy is the most costly commodity now. Everybody's privacy is extremely important. Now, privacy is, you don't get hit with the word privacy until you actually get hit with an incident. And my experience as a banker for so many years, I've been facing the clients off and on, right? A guy who has lost a 70-year-old gentleman, he's retired, his entire life savings been taken away by a hacker just by asking and fooling him out. And he gave away the information, a basic information like an OTP. It's a private information of this gentleman. He was crying and we didn't know how to deal with him, right? But till that time, he never bothered
Yeah.
to look at these aspects. So
Yeah.
extremely important to understand why privacy is very critical. And when I say privacy, it's not only about the photos where deep fakes are very, very important, but also to make sure that you protect your financial information as well. Anybody can take away your money.
Yeah, that's true. Interestingly, you mentioned deepfake. So the new set of scams that we have, you can't even tell if the person is for real or not and things like that. And Professor Amar, you mentioned about awareness, right? For a long time, I thought that if I use the incognito browser, people can't see anything. I thought I was being smart, but then I realized that that's not the case. So getting the right kind of awareness is also very important. Well, I have the next question for you, Vaishal. So we were looking at a report by Deloitte where the CXOs are really worried about the AI risks, right? And at the top of their concerns is cyber security vulnerability. So Zwag, we build bespoke solutions for businesses. And so how do we give the CXOs the confidence that here is a generative AI solution that we have built using our own proprietary large language model. It is not susceptible to cybersecurity leaks or threats. How do we, basically sell our product and give them the confidence?
So it's a good question, by the way, but at the same time, just before I answer, this is like a minute for understanding. There's an old saying, garbage in, garbage out, right? So when you talk about AIs or generative AIs, the fundamental issue that we need to understand is about data analytics. So what is data analytics? It's about preparation of identification of the data, then making sure that the data is accurate. Once it is accurate, it is stored somewhere. Once it is stored in an adequate manner, you start making sense out of it using your Zwag, right? So what happens is people fail to understand the first three critical elements that they miss out. So if your solutions or any of the organizations who are building their new generation generative AI related solutions has to address data at a very inception stage itself. So while you're doing a data ingestion, the enrichment of the data is where the privacy and the and the data privacy as well as data leaks that can take place or the way it is. So this is when you architect the entire application or rather the whole model, you have to keep in mind, I believe these will help you to have a better solution which is private, which is secured by design, and then you are generating meaningful reports out of it, or whatever you do with your AI ML models. So it's an extremely important, so Deloitte's report is also talking about one more element. So, and you addressed one very important point that I remembered. Future generation is going to see two kinds of disruptions in next 7 years. One is engineering-based disruptions, right? Where you mentioned about nanotechnologies, quantum computing, 5G, 6, 7, 8Gs, so on and so forth. And the other bit of disruption that is happening is the software-based, wherein you guys have been playing AI, ML, big data management, all these things will come in. This is in next 7 years going to exponentially grow and more on the cloud.
Yes.
Right. So keep in mind that when you're building these solutions, you have these, quantum will exponentially increase the speed of processing, where you have parallel processing that is happening, right? So what happens is everything will become very agile, very fast and stuff, and that's where your security controls in your solutions has to be built from the scratch. And there is a technological advancement that is going to happen. So technology risks also need to be managed. So one is your solution, of course, but the technology over which you're building, be it cloud or be it on-premise or wherever, you need to manage those risks. Otherwise, data is exposed. I hope that helps.
Definitely. Professor Amar, was there anything you wanted to add to that? No, okay. You mentioned about the future technologies and how it's going to affect, but currently, which sectors you would say has been most impacted because of generative AI from a cybersecurity point of view? Are there specific sectors that are safe or less vulnerable, and specific sectors or industries that are more vulnerable?
Nice question, actually. We discussed before, we have until now about 63 use cases internationally. It can be adaptive based on the generative AI. And maybe we will focus, as we discussed before, also in the research and development, software engineering, and education. It can be used also in the healthcare. When we say healthcare, that's meaning I can use the cybersecurity also in the, we will focus on the use generative AI and secure of the patient record. We can secure the, also in the hardware tool in the hospital. We can use it in manufacturing, in education. So when we talk about where we can use like the new technology, of course, depend, because we are still in the beginning road. We have many choice to adapt it like this new technology, and I'm sure the trouble will appear after, in the future, appear after use like this new technology, and shows gradually, step by step, because until now, as we discussed before, we represent 9% of the company or business leader adaptiveless technology, and we still have maybe 71 will use like this new technology within the 2 years. So within the 2 years, it appear, I think we will find not only 63, we will find 100 of area can be adaptiveless like this new technology. So the main issues where our rule regarding this adaptation of this new technology, as we represent only 3% compared with the other country around the world. That's being Middle East, all with Africa represent 3%, is not enough to play the vital or the main role and to show our achievement in adaptive the generative AI. So I hope from all students they focus to create a new startup in the future, to focus more, depend on many applications currently, and make where we can make more update to show our achievement in the future. So I think the future will determine again where we can adapt this technology more and more.
Right. Vaishal, you have worked with a lot of banking clients, right? And do you think because of generative AI and because of all these frauds happening, banking is more susceptible or vulnerable than an e-commerce startup, for example, or it's the same. We are all done for.
So, end of the day, it all drills down to your finances, right? But I would not only discount of BFSI. Yes, people are behind your money. So I have made a point to teach my dad and my mom to log into their account every single day, morning and evening, just to, so that they don't know machines are working 24/7. These hackers, when they start using generative AI against you, they will start taking this money out when they are sleeping. So, so many so there are a lot of regulatory related matters which have come up. We are also giving some cooling period to the clients, wherein they can report this initially. Otherwise, you can't. The money is gone, right? So, I'm sure generative AI is going to play a big role in identification of this fraudulent transactions, fraudulent people using other people's identities. Many things have happened in the generative AI space where gesture recognition is also becoming very important. Like the way I pick up my phone and access my banking is something that people are investing into. How many times I'm clicking, and usually what I do, they keep a tap on it through your AI interface which learns the habits and the patterns of the users. And if the pattern changes by any chance, or you're slow or fast one day, it will not allow you to use your banking. Because old people are very, so old people won't go here. They will click like
There's a pattern,
this,
definitive pattern.
click with a speed. So
Right.
that pattern is what you guys really do with your AI, and that has really helped to identify a lot of threats. Even gesture of picking up the phone.
Yeah.
A lot of things, yeah.
So just like how, that annoying question where you have to solve the puzzle of whether the square has the traffic light robot. So you would have seen the video where it's not about proving that you are not a robot, but they're looking at tracking the way your mouse moves and things like that, right?
That's correct.
So that's about it. No, it's not about checking our skills about which square has a bus, and I never get it right anyway. So it's not just the startups and others that are becoming smart, right? The hackers are also getting smarter. And now you've seen that there is a surge in no-code and low-code solutions that are coming up. The Dev Day demonstration by OpenAI, we have all seen that they're creating marketplaces, opening up the GPTs where people can just drag and drop. Not anybody can become a developer these days, apparently, because of no-code, low-code, but that comes with a lot of risks and vulnerabilities from a cybersecurity point of view, right? So what are the opportunities, and most importantly, what are the threats associated with no-code, low-code?
I just wanted to understand from the audience, how many of them understand coding? Raise your hands. Yep, Costa does, you do it. So coding is a way in which you set your instructions on your computer, right? That's in the simplest possible manner. Now, earlier days when we started with C, C++, when I used to program, there's a lot of code that I had to write even for saying, hello world, right? This is the first thing that we do, putting up variables and, bringing those kernels into action and stuff. But now I just need to type, please write an application which says hello world and accepts an input. And the code is generated at the back. It has become so simple. So simple, right? So no code, low code has given organizations the ability to go extremely fast to their customers, extremely fast. And it's an amazing stuff, amazing. I can say it's one of the amazing stuff that has even come in the last 10 years or so. However, having said so, there is a foundation called OWASP. OWASP is open source web application related threats. So they publish, it's an open source, so all of you can go and check it out, top 10
OWASP.
OWASP. So one of the key things that OWASP did was also bring in the top 10 vulnerabilities of LCNC, what you call low code, no code is a short form, the acronym of it. So they have given a lot of pointers where the LC, NC, the low code, no code has, because they have done it so fast, the security has been an afterthought rather than by design. So application build requires a lot of things which you needs to be understood from client server perspective, and there are a lot of people who come in between. Now this is where authentication issues, authorization issues, misconfigurations, because people want to do it, what do you call it in Arabic, ala tul. Now, everything is to be done now. Probably yesterday, not in Dubai, it is always as of yesterday. So, when you want to do it now, people will forget about the security. Simple as that. It's an afterthought. That's where the problems happen, and the problem just keeps on growing because the low code, no code is fast, you're changing fast and you're not, so the problem continues till the end. And then when the security guy comes in, like me, I was always been called as a no man of the bank. So he used to say, if you want to hear a no, go to him. He'll say no to every damn thing. So that's where security by design as a concept, when you're building your applications with no code or low code, consider the OWASP foundation, which is free. It tells you every vector of where the attacks can come from and what are the measures and safeguards you need to take as a matter of fact while you build an application. Architecture perspective. So it's a fantastic innovation, amazing stuff, from C to C++ to VC++ to Sharp, C#, right? And now to low code, no code is an amazing journey. The new generation would never understand the hard work that we had to do one set of program, right? We had to write 1,000 lines to build a small sales ordering processing system. But now it's just type and it does it for you. It's fantastic. So,
Right, yeah.
but you need to take care of the risks around it.
Also, I think the businesses are under pressure to put innovation, give priority to innovation rather than security, right? But they're going to spend 5 minutes coding and then 5 years fixing the bugs and,
It's a simple thing.
Right.
All of you have bank accounts? Earlier days, when you had to withdraw money, or let's assume I need to transfer money to professor. I need to go to the branch with an ID card. I need to present myself physically, give the card to the teller, fill in a form, sign it. The teller will pick it up, verify this is Vaishal, verify this is Vaishal's account and his signatures are matching, he has the money, then he transfers the money to professor. Today, it's matter of 20 seconds to 30 seconds, I can transfer money to him by just phone, right? Few moments, and the money is transferred. This is possible through new technology developments like low code, no code and stuff, which can rapidly change the way things happen.
Right, yeah.
So,
Great.
I mean,
Great opportunity, but with caution, yeah?
Imagine there was a person sitting and checking you.
Yeah.
So what happens behind the code
Correct.
is the most critical thing to happen. Those things should not be
Compromised
circumvented.
at all, yeah.
And for that you need to build the security by design.
Right.
And if you see, exactly these are the things that the hackers would typically go and focus on.
Yeah.
And they'll be eating their pizza and hacking you on the side and they'll be paying for the pizza from your account.
Even that is automated, isn't it? The hacking execution.
Your generative AI would do so.
Yeah. So even that is automated. Interesting, very interesting. So I'll have one more question for Professor Ahmad, and then we'll open the floor for discussion. Always when there are issues, right, we look towards the government, the justice system for solutions and proactive measures, right? In the light of everything that's happening in the field of generative AI, are there any, if at all, compliance and regulations that we can look up or the businesses have to follow when it comes to generative AI and LLMs and from a cybersecurity point of view?
Thank you very much. Actually, worker here in United Arab Emirates, they are lucky because usually United Arab Emirates track the new technology. Actually, since 2 weeks, I'm tracking to find good information in the AI ministry. I find that they have full law and clarify the full details regarding using the AI technology generally and generative AI specifically. Depending on this website, you can find the full policy. It can keep the data privacy and user privacy for anyone who need to create a new startup. Also, you will find generative AI guideline, including about 100 use cases, and these use cases, it's clarified in amazing. That's meaning, for example, I find some idea to use it in the LinkedIn, to use it in the interview for a new employer, if you need to create an application in this way, in the healthcare, in metaverse, in multimedia. So regarding if you visit the website, the artificial intelligence, you will find amazing information, and you can track all technology, not only generative AI. Because since maybe 1 year, we are trying to start working in the metaverse, and actually after the metaverse was in the beginning road internationally, I find that the Ministry of AI focus in high speed to prepare a strategic plan how we can adapt and reflect this new technology in UAE. So for anyone who interested to start his journey, just you can visit the Ministry AI website, and you will find full information, clarify the full details in high quality. And I think they have a professional team also. You can contact, and they will answer in high speed, and they will guide you from where you can start and where we can implement, especially for our student, because actually UAE, it focuses more on student. And as a university here, I will not say monthly, we have weekly event from the ministry or university, other university company. We got it many offer for the student. They have innovation idea and how we can reflect this idea and I can make it as an innovation and to make it in a real environment as soon as possible. Because we have budget in the UAE this year about 80 billion. Okay, this cover many issues in the innovation, and they focus more in the students. So I hope for all students or our attendees today to focus more how we can take this advantage and reflect this knowledge. And we are ready as an academic and industry world also. We work as a brother with us to support our students in the future. That's it, I think.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think we've covered a broad variety of subjects. Now, questions from your side? Yes, sir.
My name is Ramesh Mahalingam. My question on AI is, by the way, great presentations. Thank you. Lots of knowledge gained. My question, my fear, if you like, on AI is, how do I control hallucination, wrong answers given on the printed word, very well written, properly structured, language, syntax, grammar and everything. It might be a bunch of what garbage, as you said, yeah. But it's presented so well that it's very saleable. But how do I know that this is wrong and not right, if I were to depend on it? Any thoughts?
Go ahead.
Okay. We should know that regarding, yes, we started the journey of AI since 50 years, but generative AI, as we discussed before, it started really after 2022. And this application, until now, is still in the beginning road. So when you write your question, for example, ask the system, I need to prepare paper in, for example, education. The system, by default, will generate the paper, and you will ask him, make it 5-page. The system will make it 5-page. Add a reference. He will add reference. But at the end, sometimes when you track like this reference, you will not find it on the internet. So we here until now, we find that there's still gap between the AI system and the human system. Human system usually more accurate, of course. But this is not because the AI, it's more stupid compared with the human. No, because it's still in the beginning. But I'm sure with the future, I mean, within a few years, we will find that most of company adapted this technology will take a look in the accuracy of this data. Because at the end, yes, we are still in the beginning and the system will improve itself. And when we say this new technology start by 100 million users within the first month, that means maybe within 2 years cover 4 billion. And depend on this huge amount of data, of course, the system will be improve itself because it depends on the deep learning. Deep learning improve the result frequently, depend on the incoming data. So until now, yes, we find gap, we have mistake, it's not accurate in the high quality, maybe it's accurate generally, but specifically still very weak. But it's good in other matter, of course, but this we discussed in some research outcomes, okay? So I think in the future, I hope they will solve many issues regarding this accurate level. And I think Mr. Vishal, he has...
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I also stand by my word saying that garbage in and garbage out, right? So what gets fed to the system is what you're going to see it later, right? So the process of how you are preparing the data and how the data is. So I see a lot of chat GPTs left, right and center on App Store and people just go and download it and start doing things, right? So that is the way in which they capture wrong information and present it and they try to change the narrative. So there is something called ethics. Now, ethics is an important element which has been coming up when you, so I'm not a practicing lawyer, but I'm a LLM, right? So one of the important things while you develop a technology and stuff is also the ethical part of how to do it. So when OpenAI kind of an institution is getting acquired by Microsoft and stuff, there will be a bit of correction, course correction that will happen over a period of time. And again, don't believe in every one source. I always want to cross-check with other, be it investments, be it your money matters or whatever it is, right? Always take a second opinion. If one doctor is telling me this and if it's a serious matter, I may want to have a second opinion. It's like that. Till the time where we will find the right answer. And there will be no right answer because as you rightly mentioned, there is no 100% security. Yeah. There is not there.
And just I need to add something regarding these issues also. For example, Facebook currently, they try to detect which is the image, it's true or not, which is the text, is true or not. It's like tweeting, okay, in Twitter. Now we have AI algorithm called this knowledge, image cyberbullying, text cyberbullying, and we have now our algorithm, it can detect this is fake image, this fake text, and this fake data. And based on my knowledge, this will reflect this knowledge in some new application in the generative AI. And I think this will become, by default, the system will say, this is not true knowledge, not a true question, you should change it. I think that.
Yeah, definitely that's the future, definitely. As someone that has developed a proprietary large language model, I can tell you what we have done is that it all comes down to, of course, what goes in. So the quality of the data, where have you picked the data from? It's very important, right? So we have built it based on one of the two of the biggest open source models. So we didn't build the large language model from scratch. Ours is a foundational model. We've built it on two of the open source models that are vouched for their quality. And then we augmented it with our data sets, right? When we go and look for the data sets to augment our LLM, we look at real conversations on newspapers, authentic data sources, that is to say. That's one way. And then the answer to how do you control hallucination is individually you can't, you just have to cross-check. But as companies, as developers, for us the answer is training, human feedback, the loop, monitoring, constant training, a bit more training. So that's the only way that we as businesses that develop LLMs can control the hallucinations and biases. ZLang, Zwag's Large Analytical Graph, which is our proprietary language model, was built specifically for the Gen Zers. So as a mother of a Gen Zer and a Gen Alpha, I was very particular that the guardrails, usually they go for the Nemo guardrails, built-in guardrails, but I wanted additional added security, right? So because we are catering to the Gen Zers, the youth, so we added security levels and all these things. That is where the point of ethics comes in. So as a company, if you're developing a large language model, you have to be guided by ethical concerns. Of course, keeping in mind who is consuming and what kind of information you're putting out. As individuals, you only can kind of cross-check across authentic data sources. But also a solution would be to not depend on generic LLMs, but if you're asking a question about medical queries, go to Google's MedPalm 2, for example. So there are very specific fine-tuned LLMs for specific industries, construction, banking, medical. So try and use those ones instead of the generic LLMs. They are fine-tuned specifically with the data sets like Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, published papers and researches. It's not trained on just internet data and people talking about that. That's why fine-tuned LLMs are going to be very, very much in demand as well.
So my name is Karthik Raman, and my question is, in today's world, when you see B2C, any B2C organization, or even a B2B2C or a B2B2X, right? How can organizations create an architecture framework where the basics of the architecture moves every 4 months, right? So to your point, I mean, I've been in advanced analytics for many years, and you have the segment of one, real-time marketing, all utopian thoughts in the true sense, because every time you go back and look at the subject, this garbage in, garbage out will always be there. Today you're talking about open AI, open source data, which is fresh, great. But if you look at the same data 1 or 2 years back, it's different. So how does an organization create a framework which is going to be so nimble? Because it's nimble-footed, because it finally comes down to that, right? I mean, that's my question.
So more of an IT question. So I'll try to answer that. It's nothing on the cyberspace is one bit of it. So there is something called SAPSA. SAPSA is a model, an architecture model which majority of the big organizations would follow. Now, that's where the business of fintechs, the business of regtechs, the techs which get attached to it comes into picture. Now, it's a very large, your question is quite broad, and the essence of that question is changes are happening very frequently and need to keep on changing the architecture, right? That's your fundamental question, right? So this kind of issues is where it has given birth to new models or new ways of doing business. In my opinion, we were a bank. We had a certain core banking. We have a certain card system where you have your debits, credits, prepaid cards and everything running. We have a SWIFT system. Now the ecosystem outside around it has changed. So even if I'm saying a middleware as a layer, yeah, the middleware also grew from a typical service-oriented SOA architecture to more of an API-based. stuff. So a more of an API development started to happen. Now again there is a change happened at the other end. And that's where we realize that we need to create a layer which is outside our ecosystem, a kind of a DMZ zone is what we call, dematerialized zone, in which we will create an ecosystem, or rather a sandbox environment where this is tested, tried, and then taken inside. So I answered that question from a security point of view because I used to face these problems day in, day out. There are fintechs coming for loans, fintechs coming for mobile banking, fintechs coming for loyalty programs, fintechs coming for giving cheaper credit solutions, collection systems. They all are auxiliary and they all talk differently. Peer-to-peer transfer, they're different. All are different. And I say, okay, this is my architecture, you have to be confined to this. But then I realized that, you know what, this is not possible. I can't keep on changing, will not get budgets, will not get support, will not be able to go to the market fast. So we said, okay, let's create a zone outside a zone where it's far more flexible to take this in, test it, and bring it inside. It may not be 100% addressing your question, but I believe the ecosystem is changing too fast. You can't keep on changing the architecture, but more of a flexible architecture on the perimeter zone, if you ask me. And then you have your fixed legacy zone, which you can't change. Now that will be from a BFSI segment where everybody will be facing the problem. New business models, maybe you are the right person.
That doesn't apply to them at all.
Okay.
Just I need to mention regarding the business, as we discussed before, it's nowadays they need to use the generative AI to make restructure the relationship between the company and the customer. That's meaning how they can make the procedure more easier and more faster, because at the end, generative AI is designed to cut the time. Suppose you are working as a manager of company and you need to employ 1 employer and you have 100 application. Of course, you don't have enough time to have 100 interview. But nowadays we have application can work as an interview with some employer, and depending on the feedback I can answer my question, and the system by default determine your score. That means I can interview 100 person depending on simple software. This is cut the time. And we have hundreds of idea and applications can be also cut the time, and this will make the procedure and business, it's easier and faster between business to business or business to consumer. And this is, I think, just simple example regarding this.
And one more small example that I would like to add is, like, we were an open architecture kind of a model, open banking kind of a model, right? But the B2B part of it, the other B side of it is a ministry or a enforcement agency is very closed network, completely closed. So they follow this internal bit of it is never connected to outside, only a small thing goes from here to here manually, and then that's how we process. So yeah, I mean, this is what I can say. We can have more of these debates offline.
Yeah, in the interest of time, I'm just going to take one last question, I think.
Yeah, I think, yeah. The student.
Okay, one last question, but I'm sure they'll stay and...
Good evening. My name is Oves, and my question is regarding AI's implication on businesses. How can we compare between different generative AI models? As in, how can we evaluate them, like Google, Bard, ChatGPT 3.5, 4, etc.? How can we evaluate them and compare them?
Okay, it's a good question actually. For any new founder, he needs to create his new startup. He cannot say, I will be a competitor of Google or ChatGPT. Those companies start by maybe 1 billion, and they have big founder, and they have a long journey before they start a new idea and implementation. But you should know, if you are a businessman or you need to be inventor, you, in the beginning way, as a startup, you should create a new idea, not including in the current application. And for example, now we know that the Bard application, it supports, for example, real conversation, it's supporting the coding, it's supporting, for example, mathematical solution, analytical. It's okay. We know where's the strongest point with the Bard application with the Google. But depend on your experience and your reading, because this will not coming suddenly. You should extract all features covered by the Google, for example, Bard, covered by the ChatGPT. After that, you should imagine what I can do more. Okay, you can add one features or one idea simple. Depend on this idea, you can make it as a simple application, or you can, after that, you will find if it's successful and collect a huge number of customers use this tool and prove itself, okay, on the social media. The big company, by default, will ask you, we need your application. This happened for many applications we know, like Maktub, like Talabat, like many successful stories start by simple idea, but become now, it's one of the biggest startup company around the world. This is my point, yeah.
So for me, necessity is mother of all invention. It's an old saying, right? So when there is a problem, you need to solve the problem. Now you're saying there's a genuine problem. How do I solve the problem? Now, without saying Bard or a Microsoft Copilot or anything else, new things that come up there, You have to solve a problem. Now, what is the best way to solve the problem? And what are the best tools that can solve the problem? Is the way I believe you should start. And that's the time when you will say, BARD is not probably the right solution for me. And if there is no right solution, let me build a new solution. And inshallah, in future, you will be one of those guys who have invented something out of it. So I believe this is how the whole thing transpires. Though I have not done any innovation per se, but I believe I'm a user of an innovation, and this is how the journeys have started after reading so much, right? So important is that you're solving a problem without looking at the tool. The tool is it's a byproduct, it's a derivative of it. Tool is a tool, it's not solving all the problems. So which generative AI, I don't know. But yeah, a concept of a data and the AI as a model, yes, can be used in your own ways as well. So yeah, of course you have to do a lot of research, yeah.
Yeah, just adding on to what they said, always look at your use case. You start with a use case, right? What is the problem that you're solving? And perhaps for that, GPT-4, or even start with a lower, if you're concerned about your budget, GPT 2.5, maybe 3.5, turbo, whatever, start there, or BARD and other things. What works for your situation? It's interesting why Shall mentioned that, because when we created our own large language model, by the way, we created it end of 2021, early 2022, when people were not talking about ChatGPT. Our solution was probably the ChatGPT of the times, probably. We started off with a problem, like how do we give the Gen Zers a tool wherein you ask which is a great university to study in UK, and then you don't be hit with a lot of links and sponsored content where you have to read the entire thing, right? So we wanted to give you the exact answer, which is what ChatGPT does now, so conversational AI. So I was looking at what solution, what technology can aid and help me bring that solution to the Gen Zers. And conversational AI was the answer. So like everybody, we started with GPTs, we looked at Google, everything, BARD and everything. But then we realized that the Gen Zers in this part of the world speak a specific lingo, then the safety concerns were there. None of the LLMs available were meeting that kind of requirement. So we went and created our own proprietary large language model, Zlang. Now it was trained on 3 trillion plus data sets, and the final data set is 66 billion parameters, and we are growing. So a perfect example of how we created something out of need rather than, we could have built a wrapper on ChatGPT, which I call lipstick on ChatGPT and gift wrap products. You see a lot of them. We could have done that, but we didn't, because we had specific objectives, and our solution was to create a large language model of our own.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the interest of time, yeah, I think. Thank you to everybody here. One thing important, human intelligence as well. While we have all the artificial intelligence, everything needs to be intersected with that. Thank you to all the guests here, to the speakers. We have a small token just to lot of effort to take out time and thank you. Stay on to talk to them, trouble them if you need to. Take a picture for all the skyliners.
Teacher energy, you know. When I was thinking the same thing.
Behind the scenes. Come this side. Behind the scenes.
One's hiding. Maybe we should go.